it's Khaki. Today I'd like to talk to you about why the order in which you eat foods is so important. And it's probably not what you think. So let's talk about it. From the beginning of our journey as a bariatric post op patient, we are told eat protein first, eat protein first. Especially in those early stages, that is very important because we have limited space. The real estate in our newly formed surgical stomachs is very valuable, and you want to make sure that you fill it with things that nourish your body and that you really need first, and then let the rest fall into place. That is still very important as we get further out from our surgery. But there is a very important reason, besides getting that protein in, that we need to focus on the order in which we eat things. One of the most important things to prevent diabetes is to regulate the release of your body's natural insulin. Insulin is what our body uses to help us get glucose that we eat, that we ingest into our cells. Glucose is food for our cells, for our muscles, for our tissues. The insulin is the key that unlocks those muscles, those tissues to put that glucose where it needs to be. However, when we ingest too much, or especially in those of us who have had our digestive tracts altered by surgery, when we ingest simple carbohydrates, our bodies sometimes can release too much insulin. Also, over time, our tissues get desensitized to insulin. When we have a high volume of circulating insulin, those tissues get too used to it, and it takes more and more and more to achieve that goal of getting glucose where it needs to be. I kind of use the analogy for those of us who have drank alcohol in the past. Most of us can remember when we were very young and our first alcoholic drink. We got a buzz off of a few sips of beer or wine. As we mature and we drink a little bit more, it takes more and more alcohol to get that same effect. It's that way with insulin. It's going to take more and more insulin to do the job of getting that glucose where it needs to be. Eventually, that insulin, our pancreas, where the insulin is produced, gets tired and doesn't want to keep up the volume of that production of insulin. That's when we have too much circulating glucose and we become diabetics. Also, a high circulating amount of insulin leads to hypoglycemia, those drops in our glucose level that lead us feeling dizzy, ravenously hungry, can make us anxious. A lot of things are tied to high circulating insulin. Hunger, number one, especially in post op patients. When we are hungry all the time, a lot of times it's due to a high circulating insulin level. So let's talk about the order in which we eat things and how that affects our insulin level. When you eat your protein and your non-starchy carbohydrates before any simple carbs, you are going to slow down that spike in your insulin level. Number one, you're going to delay gastric emptying. That helps with making your body secrete natural GLP-1 hormone. Most of us have heard of GLP-1 medications such as Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, Mounjaro. Here's a way to increase your body's natural production of GLP-1 hormone by getting adequate protein in. Also, when you eat protein and non-starchy vegetables first, let's face it, you're going to get full. So you're not going to have as much room for those those simple carbohydrates. Kind of helps with that satiety. That delayed gastric emptying also helps with satiety. The food stays in your stomach longer, so you're not as hungry. Your insulin level stays down, which decreases hunger. Your pouch stays full longer, which decreases hunger. And another benefit of eating non starchy, high fiber vegetables first is the fiber coats your intestines and slows the absorption of the glucose in those simple carbohydrates. So, lots of reasons to eat that protein first. Number one, as we've talked about, to make sure that you have room to get adequate protein to nourish your body. Number two, delay the rise in your glucose, which leads to a rise in insulin, which can cause you a lot of problems: anxiety, dizziness, increased hunger, high risk for diabetes. I would love to hear. Oh, one other thing before I forget. There is a channel on YouTube, and she has a website as well. It's the Glucose Goddess. She is a chemist. Oh, I can't talk today. Who has made it her job to study how our bodies absorb glucose and how that can be altered by the order in which we eat things. Check her out. She did a study on how your glucose responds if you eat, for example, I'm just throwing this out. This is not exactly what she did, but if you have roast, green beans, and mashed potatoes, if you eat the roast and the green beans and then the mashed potatoes, versus if you eat the mashed potatoes, then the green beans, then the roast, you are going to have a 60 to 75% increase in your insulin level after that order of eating things. Another thing, if you are a sweet lover and you love an occasional treat, an occasional cookie, eat it as a dessert after a meal. Don't eat it by itself. Probably not going to have as much because you're not going to want as much, and you're not going to get that huge insulin spike and then the crash that results. It's all about planning in the way that you eat things. So, guys, I would love to hear how you have found playing with the order in which you eat things affects how you feel. If you've worn a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, have you noticed differences in the order that you eat things affecting your blood sugar? I would love to hear where you're at in your journey, any struggles that you're having, any questions that you have, and most of all, I would love to hear ideas for videos, things that you would like to hear me talk about. I hope everybody has a great week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye.